Hi, everyone. Welcome to science class. I wanted to go over the two papers that you are probably receiving right now as you are opening this up. So, first, let's talk about the document here on your page. It says you're receiving back two assignments today, the measurement practice from last week and your first notebook check. If you were absent on Friday or have not turned these assignments in, please stop, go to the absent folder, and complete those assignments and watch this video when you receive them back. If you were here, I am probably walking around the room right now handing back your papers. When you get them, I would like you to understand how they were graded. And what this paper here says is that if you did not score well on either one, you can make corrections. And you need to make your corrections or simply write your new answers in a different color, pen or pencil, so that I can tell which ones I'm supposed to look at. And you are to turn this in by Friday. So the first paper that hopefully I want you to pause if you don't have this one, but the first one, once you get it, is your notebook check from Friday. So what you see for your grade here is out of 20. You should see a fraction up in the corner out of 20. And that would give you your percentage if you would divide that fraction. So say you received 18 over 20. You would type into your calculator 18 divided by 20, and it would give you your percentage. As you go through the paper, you can see I marked in a different color what you may have gotten incorrect. And if you look down at the questions directly, the first one, your top two multiple intelligences, came from the very first page. We said that in class. Number two, the academic lab for science is on Tuesdays after school until 3. Number 3 is false. Don't ever pretend to do anything that could harm you or others in school, or especially with science chemicals. Now, numbers 4, 5, 6, and 7. So 4 and 5 are on the front, 6 and 7 are on the back. Those are vocabulary words. They came right from the vocabulary page. If you asked for help, which I thank you to those of you, I'm really proud of you. If you did raise your hand and ask for help, where are these things located? So I could help teach you how to use the notebook. That you found them on the Introduction to Scientific Thinking page that listed our vocabulary, or your vocab chart that went right with it. So those were 4 vocabulary words. Numbers 8 was practicing with the 2 types of observations. Number 9, you had 4 statements, and the directions say to label them as mass or volume. So as you read each statement, A, B, C, and D, you need to write the word mass or volume, which one you decide that goes with. And you would find that information on your Introduction to Scientific Measurement page or chart that you filled in. Number 10 was applying your knowledge. How could you take what we are learning and create your own experiment? So many people used elephant toothpaste, which is okay. You could definitely manipulate a variable by changing the brand of food coloring that you used or the type of chemicals that he put into the reaction. And then you could measure that responding variable, the height of that explosion, or the length that it exploded, or the width of its remnants after the explosion. There are many things that you could quantify or measure, almost like we measured in the lab. So hopefully you're able to go back and correct those vocabulary words or anything else that needed to. And then you can get that turned in by Friday if you desire. The other paper that you received back is your measurement lab or practice. So I want you to know that I did not mark any specific measurements wrong because I knew that you were using these tools, some for the first time. So I did give you points on the first page. If you look at page 1, for numbers 1 and 2, being able to measure the length and height of your desk in inches and centimeters. So if you see any marks there, then your measurements were very far from what they should have been. If they were somewhere close to the actual numbers, so the length of your desk should have been 59 inches across, which is about 151 centimeters. The height of your desk should have been about 30 inches and about 76 centimeters. And then most people who ask questions picked up on the trick for millimeters, that all you have to do is take your answer in centimeters and add a 0 at the end. because in the metric system, you simply multiply by 10 to move in the direction of the larger or smaller measurement. The other thing that I graded on the first page was the definition of volume. So I'm really proud of those of you who I saw get your notebook and open it and find that definition of volume and write it down. It is the amount of space that an object takes up. It's not just length, width, or height. It's not just the liquid volume. So you check and see how you did on that one. On the second page, you did receive points for completion for measuring the volume in length, width, and height of the domino and the block. Answers did not have to be mathematically accurate as long as you were on the right pattern of measurement dimensions. I did look at your colored cylinders to see if you were somewhat close to the volume indicated on the paper. And if you were not even close, or I could not tell because it was messy, I did take those points away. Thank you again to those of you who asked for help in identifying what the increments between the lines on the graduated cylinder meant. The next page, as I told you in class, was full of directions, and you only had to measure the volume of the marbles. So if you got the correct volume, which would be between 1 and 3, I would have accepted for 1 marble, and then between 2 and 5, I would have accepted for the volume of 2 marbles. So there was a video on those directions as well as written out step-by-step directions. And then finally, on your last page, the most dense of those spheres back there was the gold one. I know it felt like it was that matte, heavy, solid iron one, but it was the gold one. And the least dense was that wood or plywood. The final section was the mass measurements, which were probably the most difficult when it comes to the measurement because of the type of tools that were used. So I did assess the fact that you watched or did not watch the video so that you understood what those weights or riders meant. So you received points there. I did not take off points if your measurements were incorrect on the chart, as long as they were close. And I could tell that you were on the right track of which weights you were moving. And I did not take off any points for the end question if you were not able to compare with a digital scale. And those of you who were able to actually compare these items and you didn't just go back there and play or press different buttons on the digital scale that I had to fix, and you kept it in grams and you compared it to those old-fashioned beam balances, you maybe saw that they were off by a gram or two, and how hard it was to use that balance of the zero on the beams with the riders. So I want you to think about that when it comes to scientific tools. We so often are eager to just place something on a scale, and if whatever the scale says is fact, or look up maybe a question, and whatever we see as the result, we just take as fact. And we have to question those things. We have to question all things, from measurements and the tools used to gather them and the different results you can get from what could be the same tool, as well as information and where it comes from. Always questioning and gathering evidence, as scientists do. So again, if you're interested in making any corrections, we will accept those through Friday. You can do that any spare time that you have in class that would be independent work time otherwise, and then you can make up your independent work time at home. I think that's all I had to tell you. I also want to tell you, if you are happy with your scores and you're not interested in corrections, then I am very proud of you for using your notebook and following directions. I hope we have a great day in class.